Hello and welcome to the Digital Digest, your weekly breakfast of insights, tips and tricks, and general information that will help anyone trying to move things forward in this digital world of accounting. This show is brought to you by the Digital Disruptors, who are pushing the boundaries in this digital accounting space. I'm your host, Ryan Piercy, and I am privileged to be joined by Bethany Hawkins from Menzies, formerly Unleashed as well, as we dive into this world of inventory systems. So, where should we kick this off? Maybe Bethany, you can give a bit of an overview of why you would need to consider an inventory system.
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Bethany. I'm a digital transformation consultant. And as Ryan said, I've spent a couple years working with Unleashed, which is an inventory management system. Um, and I guess my experience working both as a consultant and for a software vendor, typically the types of businesses that would need an inventory system are those that hold stock or make stock or move stock. So we're looking at manufacturing businesses, we're looking at retail businesses and distribution businesses. The size of the business doesn't really matter because typically their most basic systems, such as an accounting software, wouldn't handle inventory to the level that they need it to. Although some of the mid-market and ERP systems definitely have that within. But yeah, manufacturing, retail, distribution businesses, logistics. Anything else you can think of, Ryan?
Oh, I mean, anything where they're kind of moving items. There are specialist systems out there if you're trying to manage projects and stock at the same time. And I guess they're not the systems we're going to cover here. But yeah, I guess the key point is if you move into something that is desktop or server based and you move into that small business cloud space, the Zero QuickBooks Online and Sage Business Cloud, Free Agent, etc., then those systems just don't really handle inventory very well. It's got very minor capabilities. And so you need to use the ecosystem to enhance it, probably to, as a minimum, replicate what you've got. But you've got so much or so many more powerful tools now in these inventory systems that you can far enhance what you currently do. So I guess I should probably give an overview of the kind of systems we should consider here. You referenced three big areas. So you've got kind of normal inventory systems, you've got manufacturing, and then you've got that mid-tier finance system that does inventory as well. So
Mm-hmm.
if we go back a few years in the inventory space around the ecosystems of Xero and QuickBooks Online, there wasn't that much choice. There'd been a consolidation down, and you generally had two big players. You had Sin7 and then you had Unleashed. And they'd developed the system so far that they'd priced themselves now to quite a not expensive, but an investment for businesses.
Yeah.
But that seems to have changed. Now we've got a lot of players. So you've got Sin7, in which you've got Omni and Core, and we can dive into a bit more of what those two mean in a bit. You've got Unleashed, which is still there, but then you've got Workhorse, which is like a customizable inventory system. It plays itself as something where it can bespoke to what you need, which is very unique for a SaaS product. You've got Fishbowl, you've got Katana, which I think are both US based. You've got, I can never say this one, Omono, Omono.
I say Amono.
Omono, that's probably a better way of saying it, which I guess is on that simpler side, similar to Tidy Stock and Tidy Enterprise. And then you've got a new one that I only came across recently called Turbo Inventory. Have you heard of that one, Bethany?
I have actually forwarded you an email from them the other day.
Oh, brilliant. There you go. That's probably why I've heard of it. I'm getting all the information from you. And then, I mean, that's not all of them. There's a lot more in there, but they're probably the main players, especially around the Xero ecosystem. And then going into manufacturing, you've got the likes of Mano Online, you've got MRP Easy, and then FlowLens to some extent. And there is overlap between what I call inventory and then manufacturing because you have assemblies and inventory. So you can do some basic manufacturing stuff in there. But as soon as it starts getting complex, you need to really move into the more complex systems. And then, as you said, mid-tier finance systems, you've got Accounts IQ, iPlicit, and Xledger that are all got inventory components. Xledger does not focus on that. They kind of shy away from it. Accounts IQ has basic inventory from all the discussions I've had. And then iPlicit's the one that's been building out and got more advanced inventory operations. But something that I guess I'd really like to, with your experience in the inventory space, Bethany, what I'd like to gather some insights from you is what would businesses come to expect now with those more advanced systems? What's the advanced functionality they couldn't get on kind of the server and desktop based systems that you can get in the likes of Unleashed, Sin 7, etc.?
Yeah, I think it does revolve a lot around the machine learning aspect of it. So not just actually managing stock, but being able to predict how much stock they're going to need to buy and what their sales rates are going to look like based on the history that's in the system, based on how many new customers have been added to the system, and based on any campaigns that they're going to, sales campaigns, marketing campaigns they're going to do, where they can kind of almost model what the sales cycle is going to look like for new for sales. So I think a little bit of that, kind of optimizing the stock that they have on the shelf, making sure that they don't have too much stock at once, and also that they have enough to fulfill demand. So it's a lot more kind of management of that stock rather than just tracking how much that they have. And I think that's why systems like Unleash and Sin7 market themselves as supply chain management, because they're not just tracking the stock on the shelf, they're tracking the purchasing of that lead time, as you're helping to manage that and make that as productive and efficient as possible. And I think that those are the kinds of things that my clients are wowed by when they go through the demo sessions with the vendors. These systems tend to do actually a lot more than what they initially think. So I guess what I'm saying is it's not necessarily that clients are expecting that or asking for it, but once they
Yeah.
know it exists, then they're like, wow, we need this. That tends to be kind of the biggest, I guess, game changer. And what they're expecting really for me has generally been just manage my stock, tell me how much I've got so I don't have to do physical stock takes, because in a lot of cases still where I am sitting down with clients that need stock systems, it is because they are still managing it on spreadsheets
Yep.
and on paper and through verbally communicating with the warehouse staff. So their wants at this stage are quite low level. They just want to be on the cloud, automated as much as possible. And then it's once we start looking at the details that they start to see how much can actually be achieved with it, way more than they initially thought possible.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I guess if we go once again back to when like Xero and QuickBooks built out their ecosystem, you'd have, okay, well, now we've got this whole plethora of apps that can connect into the finance system. We were like, oh, well, that's great. But now you've got an ecosystem around the inventory systems. They've got their own things they connect into and can automate. So yeah, the distribution, the shipping channels, the CRM, the predictive reporting, it all builds up to now the focal point is kind of around operations, which is where it used to be before it kind of moved back to finance probably a few years ago. So the options and the choice and the flexibility has now become so abundant, it becomes quite challenging for them to find what the right combination of products is to get the most out of what they need. And yeah, you've got so much choice out there. They could go down a rabbit hole, spend ages looking at a system, and then get to a point and go, oh, well, this doesn't have this small thing that is fundamental to my business, and they kind of have to start again. And so investing time up front, talking to specialists, makes a big difference. But I guess let's talk a bit about integrations, because we went through a lot of products. Sin7, Unleashed, Katana, Fishbowl, etc. But they all integrate differently into the finance system. So what do you think most businesses need from an integration?
So primarily is if you're managing kind of sales invoices and creating purchase orders in your inventory management solution, which you should be, ideally your sales invoices should be pushing through to your accounting system, as should your purchase orders, or once you've received the products, the purchase bill, the purchase invoice. But then ideally that should be a two-way integration. So in your accounting system, when we're reconciling payments against those invoices, ideally those should be marked as paid within your inventory solution as well. Because the idea with an inventory system is that it is your most used system. It is your operational system that you will use and have open throughout the day. So if you can do a level of accounts management through that, ensuring that your purchase invoices are paid and checking which clients you need to chase up to pay you, then it just makes everything run a little bit more streamlined.
Definitely, yeah. And the bit that varies dramatically, I think, from system to system is stock value, because generally most start with, okay, we've got base integration, we'll sync contacts, then we'll sync sales invoices, then we'll sync purchase invoices, and then you say, okay, now we bring back the payments. It kind of builds over time and accumulates in the depth of the integration. But the bit that most businesses are used to when they come away from a fully integrated system that's on the server or on their desktop is that when they make a sale, it takes the item out of stock and puts it to cost of sale. But so many, the vast majority of systems that connect into the finance system don't do that. The leading ones, Sin 7 Core, Omni, and Unleashed, all do that, where you're posting your purchase to stock. When you make your sale, it takes it out of stock and puts it to cost of sale. So you're getting a true reflection of your profit on a day-to-day basis. And if you're not getting that from your stock system, you really should be asking the question as to why. And this is the one I always ask, is why have you not built that integration? It is critical to a business. So just because an integration exists does not mean it is going to be at the level that you need it to do the real-time reporting from a finance perspective that you'd want. Have you come across any other integration challenges whenever you're kind of looking at these systems, or are we kind of covered them all?
With finance systems, it tends to be, and I guess this is more the minority, but a lot of businesses want the ability to, this is still talking about invoices, but batch the posting of invoices to the accounting system. So rather than have every single sales invoice or purchase invoice be pushed through, I guess this is more in the case of businesses that are using Xero, because there are those soft limits with transaction volume. So if we can almost do kind of a daily summary or a batch of those invoices, a lot of people are after that.
Yeah, and that becomes critical when you're doing e-commerce sales, which are high volume, low value, because you can easily get thousands and thousands of transactions on a daily basis, or at least weekly basis, and it muddles the finance system, especially if you're taking payment straight away, because they should be fully reconcilable. So as long as you set it up correctly, you've integrated and you've got the relevant control accounts that match that off, the daily consolidation is actually preferable for anyone that's working on the finance side. And automating that entire flow is possible, but it does take some thought. So if you have built an integration, or you've got an integration from your inventory and finance system, consider, have we optimized this? Is this making it easier for my finance team? Otherwise, you can tweak it, and as you say, you can consolidate down. The other bit I find, the final bit I find, which is always a challenge, is expenses. Is if you've, because loads of businesses now have like a Dext or an auto entry, a place where they can capture that invoice, but those systems don't connect into inventory systems. So say it's a cost of sale invoice, how are you getting it in there? Like, how are you moving that final cost in? Are you having to still do that manually? Where do you pick that up? Like, what part of the flow through Dext or auto entry do you pick that up? It's a challenge.
That's a really good point. There is a company that I found that in America that provide a Dext type of product, an OCR product, for just preparing the documents, and integrates with Unleashed. I don't remember the name, but it was actually at Digital Accountancy Show. Matt Flanagan and I think Wayne Bastian from another accounting firm were talking about an ice cream client. They implemented Sin 7 for and implemented this OCR product. So it must integrate to Sin 7 as well. I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to fish it out. But I had a chat with them, and they do integrate with Unleashed too. So the two main players.
That's good.
So it is there. It's just not. I just don't think they have any presence in the UK, and probably therefore don't have any kind of support in the UK or
maybe
zone,
it's not EasyBills, is it? Because I know that integrates into Sin 7 Core.
It's not.
Okay.
I literally can't remember the name of it, but I will fish it out.
Yeah, go on and tag it on. Make a comment in this. So if you are watching this now, or after the live recording, then yeah, check out the comments and Bethany will feed this information in. I'll be checking it out because I want to know what this product is.
Mhm.
So, and that's it, right? You need the flow, and you need to make sure that the documents are going to the right place. You have to think this fully holistically. But another bit I love is that whole shipping integration now, because like you can get an order come through your e-commerce platform that you can connect. So like so Unleashed, connecting to Shopify, automatically comes in, you're picking it, and then you're going into a connected shipping channel to identify or trigger the delivery and print the label and attach it onto your dispatch. I think that flow in itself is amazing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because without that, you would leave one system and have to go and log into the carrier's website and print that all off and separate it. And yeah, it just takes more time and it's a lot more clunky. So I suspect that they wouldn't be printing off labels when each order comes in. It will probably be at the end of the day.
Yeah,
So it's
definitely.
not just kind of going through it's in a streamlined way.
Yeah, and I think it's all about those marginal gains, those 1% changes you can make that really speed up your efficiencies. I've been
Mm.
working with a business that works through Shopify. They've been doing everything in Excel the way you've described, and then putting it manually into Zero, and they just were losing track of everything because
Mm.
they were doing big orders, right? So it might be 5,000 that are going out the door, but even then they're having to package it all up. They're having to manually contact Royal Mail, I think they were using. So, well, if we get the right system in place, all of that can be automated and you then can grow without having to hire people. So you're
Mm.
saving money on the cost of the software easily as you kind of move forward. But I want to just set the scene a little bit about the different systems we've touched on. So you've got Unleashed, which works for e-commerce and works for kind of basic inventory side. But if you're an expert in this, what sectors, what specialisms would you say Unleashed is well set up for?
Oh, so definitely there are a lot of e-commerce businesses on Unleashed, and also a lot of kind of food and beverage businesses. And that varies from kind of startups to very well established. But all the kind of quirky indie, beers and like Karma Cola, lots of really cool Dash Water, lots of really cool kind of beverage businesses on there. And I think it worked really well for pharmaceuticals or anything that is similar to that, like skincare, where you are literally taking raw materials, building a product, but then you also need to build your packaging. And perhaps you might have different suppliers for each of those. So you really need to track, I don't know, let's say it's tablets, for example. You need to track where and when and how many tablets are being created with one supplier, then it goes to another supplier for it to be bottled up, then maybe another supplier to
Ah,
be labeled, and then maybe another supplier to be shipped out to all of your clients. And with each of that, you need to track kind of the costs involved, where it physically is. And when it is due to arrive with the next supplier. So it can work quite well for that, tracking the batches as well. So ensuring that nothing is lost, everything is fully traceable from beginning to end. And if you ever needed to do a product recall, you know exactly where those products are currently, where some have gone, where some may be remaining, so that you can implement that. And that's quite important, especially in pharmaceuticals and
yes.
food business as well.
Yeah, it's critical. And because I know Unleashed say we are not a manufacturing system. They're very
Mm.
adamant they're not that. But it sounds like if you're outsourcing your manufacturing, so you're controlling the whole process, but you've subcontracted it out, it can work really well on that. Because I know they've got quite an advanced assembly system, haven't they, inside
Yeah.
Unleashed?
Yeah, so there is a production module in Unleashed. So it definitely does cater to manufacturing businesses, but perhaps not complex manufacturing businesses. And I think um, it might kind of fall down in areas where there is complex manufacturing, or a need to track machines as well as the actual products that are being used, and maybe the need to track staff members and time and things like that is where you might need something a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, I think that's a big difference between Sin 7 Core, formerly Deer Inventory, and Unleashed, is that Sin 7 Core has like a scheduling area, so you can do some basic manufacturing, like staff management. So if you've got it in-house more and you need to manage people, Sin 7 Core is probably a better fit. But yeah, those, I mean, I don't know how Unleashed has got into those niche breweries, but I do wonder if the team are going after it purely for the nice drinks and beverages that they can get by working with them.
Definitely, yeah. We'd always get lots of drinks for the road shows and candy kittens as well. There's always plenty of those going around.
And so, what's a candy kitten?
You never heard of candy kittens?
I've
They're
not.
sweet. So one of the really cool things as well is a lot of their food and drinks clients are like big corporations as well. So there's really nice businesses to work with, and yeah, Candy Kittens is one of them. So it's a vegan sweet that comes in all different flavors, watermelon and guava and all these fancy fruit flavors. They're created by, I don't know if you'll know this person. Do you know Jamie Lang from Made in Chelsea?
Yeah, yes, I do know.
A lot
Through
of
my
people think
wife,
he's
I
very
do know Jamie Lang.
insufferable, but he makes good sweets.
I did not know he did that. Yeah, he must be making some good money off of doing
Oh
that.
yeah, for sure.
Well, look, I've been educated at least on sweets today, but let's kind of talk a little bit about some of the simpler systems, because Unleashed and Sin 7 are what I'd call more advanced inventory systems that sit in the ecosystem. You've got, I can't say it, Omono,
I say a mono.
Omono, and you've got Tidy Stock / Enterprise. Enterprise, I guess, goes a bit more into projects. Tidy Stock is probably the simplest level of inventory system you can possibly get. It's pitched at that, it's priced at that. So if you just need a very basic in and out of inventory, it's a good place to go. But I think Omono has kind of come on and probably tipped the balance towards them, because they've got slightly better user interface, slightly better flow, but the price point's still relatively like cheap. Is that kind of your take on it?
I actually haven't seen a mono in about 5 years, and
Oh
when
wow.
I was demoed a mono, it was brand new and it was very basic. So I'm probably due a more recent demo. But yeah, I know at that time it was definitely more entry level than those that we're more used to working with. But what are
Yeah,
some
and
of the things that they've added in?
yes, you know, all these systems grow over time, but I think every one of them needs to find their niche. And
Mm,
um, so many businesses that you don't need huge amounts of complexity. They don't want that. They just need something to replicate what they were doing before. So some of these systems, which aren't, you know, the brand name for Omono is just nowhere near as big as Sin 7 or Unleashed. There's a lot less awareness out there in the marketplace. Um, yeah, finding the right setup for you, and as I said, talking to people that know the breadth of the market to be able to guide you to it is a good start. And then you've got Workhorse, which is a quite customizable system, and Turbo Inventory, which is not quite as customizable, but from what I've had discussions with them, they can tailor elements, they can build some custom modules on it. I think this is now going to the area where you've got very specific needs. So I was working with a business that was a cheese manufacturer, and there's a part of that where you basically make the cheese and then you sit it on a shelf for a period of time.
mm,
And I'm not an expert in this, but it changes its composition by sitting there and maturing.
mm.
I'm pretty sure that's not the word they used. And because of that, the weight changes. So they needed a track of production and then change that at the end. And the complexity of this meant that they needed a slightly custom process. And the likes of Workhorse enabled that, whereas other solutions wouldn't. Now, a lot of the time, you don't need something because it's more straightforward. You say you've got a basic assembly, it's repetitive. But if you have a unique, I guess, operational niche, then you need a more customized solution.
Yeah, definitely. I've not used Workhorse myself. Is that a newish
It's relatively new. I've come across it in the last probably year and a half. So to the eco, you know, for the ones that have been around 10, 15 years, yes, it's brand new. But it's got some backing behind it. It's got quite a lot of clients. It's not one of those that, you know, it's just been launched. So
Mm.
um, I don't think there's any fear at the moment of it disappearing. The bits that I think we all have to caveat here is that any system can be acquired by another system at any time,
Yeah.
and the development pathway can change. We've seen that Dear Inventory, like Sin7 Core we're talking about, was acquired by Sin7. And then you have Unleashed that was acquired by Access. Now, there's still products out there. They're still doing what they do, but I guess how they've evolved and how they've changed would be different now they've been acquired. And I always carry that in talking to anyone is that we can't guarantee how the system's going to change over time. And there's some that just get stripped away. So you had Trade Gecko over in the that's bought by Intuit and has been kind of evolved into QuickBooks. And then you had the one that was acquired by Xero that I've completely forgotten the name of. Do you remember what that was, Bethany, over in the US?
Stock system.
Yeah, it was a US based one.
Yeah, no, I can't remember it.
I
That
can't
was
remember.
only a couple of years ago.
It was. It doesn't affect us, but obviously, if you're a US company that's just started that, it's been acquired by Xero, you're wondering Locate, that was it, Locate Inventory.
Yeah.
So like, what's the future hold? And I think they've kind of, I'm not sure they got rid of the customers. They said you're going to be doing this directly inside Xero going forward. So we're just waiting for that to come out.
Yeah.
But I guess my last bit on any of this is if you got any tips or little nuggets of information that anyone considering an inventory system could take away from today that maybe they don't consider normally when they're going through a process of finding one.
So something I like to do, and this goes for any system really, is ask to see the product roadmap, the development roadmap, just to understand where they're going with that. Because I feel like sometimes inventory systems can start out rather generic. They're trying to kind of get as much of a customer base as possible, and then they find their niche and start to develop the product with that niche in mind. So it will help you to understand if the product is still going to be serving the business well in the next couple of years or 5 years and beyond. So if you can, if they have one available, try and access that product development roadmap so you can see what the plan is and what the future could look like with that particular system. And just ensure that what you're looking for is well documented and that you aren't just making a decision based off of a demo and maybe testing a very small piece of your workflow. Ensure that you are asking every single question and that every one of your requirements has been checked off as being able to be catered to in whatever system that you are looking to go ahead with. You need to be really thorough with an inventory system. And when you are asking questions about something particularly complex, can the system do that? Rather than just relying on the answer being yes, ask to see it being done. Ask for examples. Ask to see what you're looking for in action, because lots of people have different interpretations of different things, and it would be a real shame to go through, a month or so of setting a system up, £500 maybe on a subscription for you to then realize it isn't the right fit. So just, be patient, take it slow, and be very thorough.
Yes, yeah, be pushy, push them. Like you're talking to salespeople, they're going to tell you what you want to hear to some extent, and you need to push hard and definitely do a trial to test some of those. One thing I would advise is that, especially with inventory systems, there's lots of self-serve, like they'll kind of do what we call managed implementation. They'll guide you through what to do, but you have to do it yourself. You miss so much if you do it yourself. You really should invest in an implementation specialist. You've got the likes of Bluehub, you've got Outserve, you've got Bethany that you should call on, because they know how the system works and they'll know your business from talking to you and kind of merge the two together. So I guess that's my final piece is don't be shy to talk to someone. You don't have to do it all yourself. Although you might be the person that knows your business the best, you need to marry that up with the person that knows the system the best. I feel that's a great place to wrap up this week's show. Hopefully anyone that is watching has gained valuable insights whenever you're considering inventory systems, what to look at, how to go about it, and who to potentially talk to. Please do check out the show notes, if not for anything else, but to know what this system is that Bethany's discovered for expense management, as well as links to Digital Disruptors and any app that we've referenced. Plus, if you do want to catch future episodes, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and the LinkedIn channel Digital Disruptors, and you get notified every Thursday morning when we go live. We look forward to speaking to you next week. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks, Bethany.